シャマッシュ。おい、シャマッシュ殿。
一体、何がどうしたんだ。
あんな至近距離で、あんな派手な攻撃をするから、おかげであんた自身まで吹っ飛ばされたんや。
I took a ton of damage, and my level's gone down? Right, that attack is so extreme that you lose a level whenever you use it. So as a result...
拙者は、事前に逃げていたから助かったが、そこへシャマシュ殿が降ってこられたから、とりあえずここに運び込んで解放をしてる。ちゅうわけ。
I see. I mostly understand the situation now.
エアはどうした？
さすがに詳しくはわからへんのやけど、ジックラットも派手に壊れたし、拙者の考えでは、エア自身もメンテをせんとあかんと思う。
なるほど。では今が勝機だ。再びジックラットに襲撃をかけ。
自殺行為やって、エアどころかエンリルまで出てきたらさすがに勝ち目ないよ。それに、真のことやったら。
何？
I instinctively grab Inugaki Chiquitita by the collar.
お前は真の何を知ってる？
苦しい。話して。
すまない。
I consciously release the power from my fingertips.
まったく、神々ってのは短気であかんな。
それで、真は？
あんま用ない話かもしれんけどな。
まさか。
So is Mutsuki really dead?
とりあえず、拙者についてきてくれ。見せたいもんがある。ここなんやが、気配を殺してほしい。
A back street? Even amongst the immorality known as Babylon, this area feels even more broken down than the rest. People are sitting and lying on the bare ground here. It's different from how it is in the real world, but do people in virtual worlds have fun acting like vagrants? Or are these NPCs?
ほら、あそこ。
4 to 5 people wearing black jackets are sitting around a bonfire in a circle, doing something. It's true that if this were the real world, it would be a problem, but there are disposable items here that you can simply use to temporarily raise your attributes. There's no harm done, and it's not illegal.
そうそう。そして、あの二人の上着やけど、あれはDlroWのメンバーが着るもんで。
DlroW? Come to think of it, didn't Inagaki here talk about them with Yoshida?
いや、だから、DlroWって何なのよ。
手っ取り早く言えば、レムちゃん非公認のファンクラブってとこかな。
Rem, the one who beckoned me into Babylon, and someone who is likely connected to Mutsuki. If that's true, then... At that moment, I noticed the mark on the back of their jackets. A fairy with a spacey expression. There's no doubt that it's a crest that depicts Rem. She's the go-between for Mutsuki and me, the one who ties the string that binds us.
そして、こっからが重要なところなんやけど、あの連中にドラッグ売ってんのが、シンっていうハンドルのやつらしい。
What was that? So Sin is... Mutsuki is a drug dealer? It can't be that that's why Aya wouldn't disclose anything to me, is it? No, wait. Virtual drugs on the net are simply pleasure drugs, so in other words, it means that Sin is simply a pharmacist. Babylon doesn't have the same value system as reality. On the other hand, if it's the other way around, then...
それで、そのシンはどういうやつなんだ？いつどうやったら会えるんだ？
それは、拙者には永遠の謎かもしれへん。
どういうことだ？
シンはどうもDlroWにしか物を売らへんらしいんや。
なるほど。
And people who have never seen Ram in person before can't become members of DlroW, so Inagaki can't join. Then I'll just ask them directly.
おい、マジか？おい、なんだお前は。
ここがDlroWの溜まり場だと知っての接近か？
レムちゃんに会ったことがない者は ここへは来れない。いわば我々は先民なのだ。会ったことなどあるまい。
ふふーんだ。悔しければ何年何月何日にあったか言ってみろ。
Every time they speak, it feels like my old familiar headaches are about to return. So I tell them,
2032年4月30日午後9時過ぎ、バビロンのゲート前で遭遇。これでいいのか？マジか？
ちょっと待って。ゲートなどという大胆な場所での報告例はないが、確かに付近の繁華街や占いショップでの目撃例はある。
即答したところも信憑性が高い。
その時レムちゃんは一体なんて？
おお、そうだ。貴重なお言葉を拝聴しなくては。
さあ早く。何を躊躇している？
the situation with all these groupies circling me makes me feel like I'm the older brother of a girl who became an idol. What was it that Rem said back then?
そうだよ。お兄ちゃん忘れちゃったの？わーい、思い出してくれたんだね。よかった。
Rem beckoned me to Babylon, and
バビロ
then
ンへようこそ。思い出して、そして忘れないで。レムのこと。
忘れてはいけない。そうだ。我々はレムちゃんのことを忘れないためにここにいる。
この新入りを通じてレムちゃんはメッセージを送ってくださったのだ。いつもここにいる。忘れることなかれと。
always here. Is that right, Muski?
これはシンにも報告せねばな。
Wait a minute. What did he say just now?
確かに。シンもまた別のお告げを受け取ってるやもしれぬ。
I approached the one leading the topic, a man with an afro and a short mustache.
なんだ？
シンとはいつどこで会える？
なんとまあせっかちな。
いやいや、オイラも最初にレムちゃんに会った時はあのぐらい興奮してた。新入りを許してやろう。
君もデストロドやリビドが欲しいのか？
Destrudo. German. Doesn't sound like a German word to me. Anyway, the death instinct in psychology, impulses tending toward self-destruction, will lead to suicide if allowed to escalate past one's limits. A life form may prioritize species preservation over self-preservation, and if it deems itself unable to contribute to species preservation, or if species preservation is impossible, it may be driven to self-obliteration. Name of an orally administered designer drug. Grants pleasure through stimulation of Thanatos, the death drive, in the brain. Usage of this drug inhibits the side effects of cyberware. Overdose of this drug has been linked to sudden swelling of self-destructive desires, which may lead to suicide. So there have been suicides lately. Could this have something to do with it? Thanatos, the Greek god of death. Psychological term for the instinct or urge to pursue death. The antithesis of Eros. Trauma central to the net hero He's meaning of existence. Eros, the Greek goddess of love. Affection, sexual love. Psychological term for self-preservation instinct. The antithesis to Thanatos. The meaning of the super hacker Ishtar's existence. Ishtar, the Babylonian goddess of victory, love, and war. She is the archetype for the demon Astaroth, the Greek goddess Aphrodite, and the Roman goddess Venus. He, a title for Jesus Christ, used to signify that he is the existence above others, an existence above others. Acronym for His Excellency, a reference to high explosives like the high detonative TNT. A term used to refer to a man in the third person. An urban legend about a purported hero on the net known as the Legendary Hacker. Legendary Hacker. This name originated 10 years ago, in 2022. A super hacker with transcendental abilities, a mysterious person whose real name, location, and all other personal information is unknown. Therefore, he is simply called He. It's said there is nothing in existence he can't do if it's related to computers and networks. In the modern world of 2032, where nearly everything is connected to the net, he might even be called a god. He has done countless deeds known as miracles. For example, he has penetrated military servers that were considered impregnable and stole top-secret data from them, and it is rumored that he was able to prevent a war with this data. Another example, he crashed the networks owned by a certain crime syndicate one after another, causing large-scale damage to them. Amidst these absurd stories, one of them was that he was responsible for the unmatched telephone line system crash that occurred in the USA on January 15, 1990. Whenever he senses a dilemma, he's on the scene almost immediately. From this, some people think he's watching people over the world via the whole world via cameras and orbital satellites, or basically any sort of surveillance equipment connected to the net. People deify him in many ways, despite the lack of hard evidence that he exists, due to the fact he leaves no traces behind. His elusive nature makes his very existence dubious. In other words, he's the epitome of an urban legend. Yeah. A designer drug grants a pleasant feeling by stimulating the eros in one's brain. Also, libido is effective in raising one's sense of unity with the virtual world. If you overdose on it, your emotions will suddenly swell and you'll be inspired to perform unsavory acts. Therefore, another name for it is berserk. What are those? The names sound familiar, but...
ほら、さっき俺たちがやってたやつだよ。
そうだな。興味はなくもない。
なるほどなるほど。ちなみにさっきやってたやつはリビドを主成分とするものだ。戦闘前に戦意を高揚させ、仲間意識を高めて団結して敵に打ち勝つために使用する。対してデストロドは気分を鎮静させたり、自分の内面にこもりたい時などに主に使用する。元はといえば三騎士のエンリル様が配下の親衛隊に与えていたものだが、それをシンが特別に我々に譲ってくれる。
Wait a minute. Isn't that what you'd call selling on the black market? Why would this person known as Shin, who might be Mutsuki, tread on such thin ice? Don't tell me that Shin never makes an appearance because they're doing something so underhanded.
お？新入りの顔色がよろしくないぞ。
悲嘆するな。シンは次の新月にまた接触してくることになっている。
Okay, well, that's a... Wait a minute. Let's see. If I can find it. Oh yeah, Moon's Age 25. Okay, so it's just a few days away. The new moon, or Shingetsu. Wait, Shingetsu? As in Shin's moon? Haha, nice. Shin also means true, so does it also mean the true moon? And what's truly important is what's invisible.
それまでの辛抱だ。
では新入り、我々は襲撃に行く。
そうだ。憎きクリミナルを叩き潰すのだ。
Criminal, one who commits a crime. The name of a hacker team led by the person known as Ishtar. Their acts include improving, remodeling pre-existing code, software development, and other acts which constitute hacking. They generally don't hack in a criminal way. Whenever they do break the law, it's only to bolster weak yet important security systems and to help with criminal investigations. They are still aware that those are also illegal acts, and thus have named themselves criminal as a warning toward themselves. The team's motto is, "Thou shalt not destroy or crash." Oh, thou shall not destroy. That's grammatically incorrect. At least if you're... No, anyway. Criminals? Either way, these guys feel like the real criminals here, but I'm not interested in beating up similar people. Just when I'm about to politely decline.
残念だが、新入りの出番は今度だ。
そうだ、お前の分のリビドはないからな。
では、新月にまた会おう。
野郎ども、出撃だ。
When I come to my senses, there's no one around me. That bizarre, enthusiastic group ran off faster than a tornado in the desert.
おい、チキチだ。
I turn around and call out. All that greets me is silence. I see, so he lost his nerve and ran off. I don't know why I was surprised. It's rather anticlimactic, but I smile for some reason. And I got more information than I expected. Now then, what I'll do next is... I'm sure it was around here. Last time I was guided here by that annoying guy, but now I'm alone. It's possible that I might meet Mutsuki here. But to think that she might be a drug dealer... Talk about a bad joke. In the first place, even if it were true, this is just a virtual world. It's just a game, right? Lem's fortune telling. In Japanese, that's Rem's fortune-telling house, right? It seems those words appear when I reach an exact point, rising up like another new gateway. And beyond that space is...
ようこそ天と地の暗闇を照らし出す太陽神シャマシよ
On the outside, this hovering fairy with insect wings hasn't changed at all since last time. But...
君は
Are you? Even if she were Mutsuki, she has this overwhelming presence that's different from the Rem I first met. This intimidating air, like an empress. What is this? Just who is she?
ここは迷えるバビロンの民が救いと導きを求めて訪れる占いの館。私でよければお力になりましょうか。
I feel myself becoming pious, something I've never felt up until now. I don't know what to do. I just want to rely on her power. Don't tell me, is this another mental attack?
シャマッシュ、これはあなたのカード。あなた自身を象徴とする第19番の太陽の大アルカナ。本来あるべき姿。幸福と成功と豊かさの象徴。
As she says this, she takes a card out of thin air and presents it to me. The card's background certainly does have a large sun shining above a medieval rampart. But the focus is in the foreground of a man, probably a warrior, with a crimson cape being blown by the wind. He has a cheerful, childish face, and he's trying to lead his horse with his right hand.
そして残る21枚のカードを心ゆくまでシャッフルするのです。
Just then, a crowd of flickering cards appeared before me. What's more, when I stretch my hands out, the card's shuffling speed and ratio oddly change. What I want to predict, my future. Of course, it's whether or not Mutsuki and I will smile together again. That's all. I believe in my inner intuition and stop holding my hands out. The fairy tilts her head as if to ask me, is this alright? So I firmly nod. The fairy takes a stack of cards floating in midair and carefully opens one from left to right.
あなたを覆うもの。それは何かしら。
And she arranges the cards so that it's overlapping on top of the already flipped sun. It's the inverted... the 16th, jet black darkness, a pyramid with stairs in the middle of rain, a lightning bolt, a symbol of God's anger, begins to break down that Tower of Babel. To the left and right are ghostly figures of a man and woman.
塔の逆位置は陰謀、長く続く迫害。これ以上はないぐらいのトラブルが待ち構えていますね。
Shivers run up my spine as a result of this sudden knowledge. Just how badly do I want to see what lies ahead? My conflicting feelings tear at me like they're ripping me apart.
目の前に横たわるのは敵？それとも味方？
Paying no heed to my conflict, Rem flips the next card. This time she doesn't open it from left to right, but rather from up to down. This one's the ominous 15, the devil. The image of a human with bat wings covers the tower from earlier. In one hand he holds a sinister object and a bloody sword in the other, and at his feet are a gargoyle and a crying woman.
他者を圧倒するほどの欲望があなたの邪魔をします。あなたの前途には計り知れない試練が待ち受けています。
As she says this, Lem makes a cross-shaped arrangement with the tower and the devil. Right now, I'm at a complete loss for words. The fairy mercilessly flips the third card with her flexible fingers. Like last time, she does it from up to down.
この現状で到達しうる最良の未来は
I instinctively gulp. Even though all she's doing is beginning to flip the card, I'm unable to put my mind at ease. The card she reveals has no number, the Fool. An expressionless man holding a shotgun stands with his back facing a cliff. He's making some sort of beckoning gesture with his right hand. The sun and moon shine at the same time, and at his feet is a large hairy dog.
あなたは原点に帰るでしょう。それは聖なる力と同時に愚かさをも意味します。自分自身の意志力、判断力を常に正しい方に用いてください。
As she says this, Rem puts the Fool on the upper part of the cross-shaped arrangement for the cards of destruction and desire. She then immediately flips the next card and puts it at the bottom of the cross. It's another dark-colored card, and it's inverted. This one is 18, the moon. Two pillars that call to mind the image of a gate coming out of a shining ocean. In between them is a young girl floating like a fetus.
現状を導いた一番大きな原因は些細な欺きや沈黙、つまりディスコミュニケーションです。
Why does she need to be so accurate about that? I wonder how it is that she's on the mark, so on the mark. Even though all she's doing is flipping random cards.
最近この状況に影響を与える事件がありました。それは
As she speaks, Rem flips the next card. It's 10, the Wheel of Fortune. It shows the dial of a watch floating in cyberspace. There is a goddess spinning water into it. The data flow then becomes a waterfall.
おそらくは運命的な出会い。あなたを悪しき宿命の罠から引き出してくれる存在です。
Who? It certainly feels like I've met a lot of people recently. It can't be Inagaki, who I'd never imagined talking to before. Though on the net, he talks to me like we're real close buddies or something. The Wheel of Fortune is placed on the left side of the cross, and she takes one more card from the deck and places it on the right side of the cross, the card which, above all else, I don't want to see.
これが近い将来あなたに襲いかかる運命です。
13. Death. An ominous laugh rises from a man with a shaved head. This card was still around this late in the game? Just what the hell is this fate of mine?
あなたは大事なものを喪失します。しかしそれは新しい時代を切り開くためにぜひとも必要なことなのです。これで時系列の輪をめぐるカードは完成です。あとは現状の個別分析に入っていきます。いいですか？
To be honest, it's not. All the cards that have shown up until now have only shown a wheel of fate one would hardly call good. But the goddess turning that wheel is looking away from me.
大丈夫。最終結果を見て対策を考えましょう。
Honestly, I'm scared of seeing what lies ahead. But the bad cards like the Tower, the Devil, and Death have already been used. From now on, I'm sure good cards will guide me.
このカードはあなたの本質を最もよく表しています。
It's 5. The Hierophant, a boy with glasses, suddenly appears in a snowing cyberspace. So I guess this is a cyberpunk version of Tarot. His whole body is wrapped up with a heavy garment designed for the cold and a warm-looking red and green scarf. His eyes shine with curiosity.
まさかこれは
At that moment, a baffled expression appears on the face of the fairy, who has been calm up until now. She repeatedly compares me with a card. What does it mean?
これはそんなに悪いカードなの？
いえ、これはあなたの本質が英知と慈悲を備えた精神的なリーダーとなり得る素晴らしい人物であることを意味しています。
It feels kind of like this is the first time I've been praised directly. Rem takes the card and places it down away from the other cards she'd lined up until now.
そして次は あなたの潜在意識です。
3. The Empress? There's a woman sitting in a comfortable looking chair smiling like the Mona Lisa. The problem is that it's inverted.
このカードは優柔不断、女性性の否定、不毛、発展がないこと、進展の遅いことを意味します。どうやら内面の問題が本来のあなたを蝕んでいます。次のカードは周囲からの視線です。
6. The Lovers. In the Garden of Eden, a man and woman between the Tree of Life and the Tree of Knowledge try to take each other's hand. A fairy guides the two, while a serpent tries to interfere.
あなたはどんな試練にさらされてもそれを乗り切れる魅力的な人物ですね。そしてこれが最終結果です。
She takes the 6th through 10th cards and lines them up in a vertical line. And the final one to top it all off is 20, The Last Judgment.
世の終わりが来て死者はよみがえる。裁かれるべきは裁かれ、新世界に素晴らしい命が芽吹く。あなたは革命を起こすでしょう。
Drawn on the card is an endless staircase that I feel I've seen before. Yeah, where have we seen a staircase before? In the sky, a blood-smeared angel blows a trumpet, and gray figures of people look up at it. My feet are shaky. It feels like the world is beginning to grow more distant. Why? It's just fortune-telling, right?
この占いの結果を決して忘れないでください。あなたにとって、人々にとって、そして多くの世界にとって、あなたは重要なキーなのです。
レム、君は一体何者なんだ？前に会った時とはまるで違う存在みたいだ。
それもまた謎解きの一部なのです。私はこれ以上あなたを導くことはできません。これで精一杯です。でも決して諦めないでください。
この占いは本当に僕が聞きたい答えではなかった。僕は人を探していた。
みんな何かを探し求めています。いいですか？私の今の占いに全ての鍵が隠されています。
Oh boy. As a sad smile rises to her face, the fairy starts to turn into particles of light and vanish. Likewise, this fortune-telling house is beginning to disintegrate into a rainbow mist.
待ってくれ！どうしてみんな謎かけばかりするんだ？僕の力限られているというのに、どうして誰も手助けしてくれないんだ？
みんなできるだけの助力はしています。だからあなたも悲観せず、自分に負けず、できることをすればいいのです。大丈夫よ、ひなた。未来はあなたのものです。
She knows his real name. I quickly reach my hand out, but it hangs in empty space. Where the fairy should have been is... I've returned to the ordinary business district. That fairy bewitched me. She was as devious as a fox. That's what I'm feeling like right now.